As one of the most dynamic modern sports, bodybuilding boasts an especially intricate history. It all began in 10th century ancient Greece, where a culture of reverence for physical fitness came to dominate society. Art from the era indicates values of proportionality, size, symmetry, and definition of the muscles, the same criteria used in modern competition. They also valued athleticism as a result of emphasis on fighting skills, health, and attractiveness. They trained in gyms by lifting, carrying, and throwing heavy objects like rocks, and they may have even invented the dumbbell. Similarly, in 11th century India, stone dumbbells called nals were used to achieve similar goals. This combination of resistance training and the idea of improving one's body led to the development of similar competitions in Europe, with the trend of strongmen in public events like circus for entertainment, pulling heavy carts, demonstrating their strength, and lifting heavy weights. As bodybuilding competitions had begun in Europe with the first ever great competition, the same competition mentality had begun to spread into America, with the first bodybuilding competition in the USA, Physical Culture Exhibition, in Madison Square Garden in downtown New York. This competition further catalyzed the growth of a bodybuilding culture in America by providing a stage for bodybuilders to aspire to. The publicity led to greater athletic efforts, the efforts led to more impressive results, and the results led to even greater publicity.
Around the 1800s, gyms began to make more of a primary appearance in Europe, primarily Germany. Later, in 1844, the YMCA was created, which served as the first gym to provide fitness equipment for the people of the public. Around this time as well, Eugene Sandow, a man from Germany, began embracing these European and fitness and bodybuilding routines and founded what is now known as the Western fitness and bodybuilding culture. One of Eugene Sandow's biggest creations was the Grecian ideal. The Grecian ideal was a mathematically based formula to create the perfect body. He created this ideal because he noticed that although man was creating developments in many other aspects of life, there was yet to be a big development in man's physical culture. So thus, he created the Grecian ideal to help people strive for a perfect body. These measurements stated that your flexed arms and calves should be 2.5 times larger than your non-dominant wrist. Your shoulders should be 1.618 times larger than your waist. Your chest should be 6.5 times larger than your wrist, and your upper leg should be 1.7 times larger than your knee. The Grecian ideal was not only important for bodybuilders, but also for mankind, as the Grecian ideal was used as a basis and a standard for the perfect body as we know it today. Now, the All-Grecian ideal was also used to judge the first ever bodybuilding competition, which was called the Great Competition and took place in Royal Albert Hall in London. This competition was a great success for many people in London, but also worldwide, as bodybuilders from both the US and all over Europe participated. The winner of the first ever great competition in London was named William Murray, a man from Nottinghamshire County, England. After 1901, William Murray began to take bodybuilding seriously after seeing Eugene Sandow's big influence in the field. However, before that, he did activities like running, cycling, and playing soccer. His award was called the Gold Sandow, a statue of Eugene Sandow covered in 24-karat gold. However, the more prestigious of the awards was called the Bronze Sandow, another statue of Sandow, however covered in bronze, as this award is still used in Mr. Olympia, a popular competition in the US today.
By the beginning of the 1930s, fitness equipment like dumbbells and barbells were more widely available to the public in gyms. This led to a greater appreciation of not just physical fitness, but bodybuilding as a whole. This led to a differentiation between bodybuilding and strength training cultures. This was apparent with the introduction of things like posing, mirrors in gyms, and other practices unique to bodybuilding culture. Cultural centers like Muscle Beach additionally developed, where bodybuilders would get together and celebrate their accomplishments and ambitions. The first Mr. America competition was held in 1939. Now, the first one wasn't exactly a bodybuilding competition, as it focused more on events like wrestling and fencing, but the next year in 1940, there was a bodybuilding-specific competition, and the winner of this, John Grimmick, went on to promote the sport as an example of what could be achieved through prowess in bodybuilding. As is typical in the bodybuilding scene, it wasn't long before a new greatest ever came along. Steve Reeves won a Mr. America title, a Mr. World title, and 2 Mr. Universe titles, before using his fame to kickstart a film career, where he popularized the sport of bodybuilding simply by showing off his body in the theaters. The sport's growth as a result from its prominence in entertainment was complemented by a further legitimization through organizations. The National Amateur Bodybuilders Association and the International Federation of Bodybuilders were founded in 1950 and 1946 respectively, and both contributed to a more organized, professional environment for the sport. Although each of the previously mentioned men were important to bodybuilding in their own right, none of them were as important as the most significant figure in bodybuilding history, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger won a Mr. America title in 1967 before making history with 5 Mr. Universe titles and 7 Mr. Olympia titles. A documentary on his extraordinary success called Pumping Iron caught the attention of movie producers, kickstarting an equally impressive acting career, where he starred in movies such as Conan the Barbarian, Terminator, and Predator. His fame led him to become not only the face of bodybuilding, but a household name, further boosting the popularity of bodybuilding and setting the stage for Schwarzenegger's later political career, where he served as the governor of California from 2003 to 2011.
By the 1980s, bodybuilding was seen as an entirely legitimate sport, with the International Federation of Bodybuilding encompassing over 100 countries. Celebrities, actors, and professional athletes each used bodybuilding to increase their own marketability, as it had become that integral to the public idea of what fit was.
After the Schwarzenegger era, dieting and lifting became more mainstream. As well, the use of steroids also became more mainstream as the increase in competition and standard of bodybuilding increased, which also led to an increase in the prizes of bodybuilding competition. Because of this increase, the use of anabolic steroids also rapidly increased, with 2 of the main steroids at the time being insulin and HGH. 2 anabolic steroids which increased muscle creation and muscle recovery time, which gave athletes an unfair advantage in the competition. Another big change in the bodybuilding community at the time was the increased emphasis on muscle mass, with bodybuilders coming in at higher weights than they ever had before. 2 big examples of this were Lee Haney, a bodybuilder that came in at 240 pounds, and Ronnie Coleman, another bodybuilder who came out at a whopping 290 pounds, which was completely unexpected at that time. Another big increase and change in the bodybuilding community was the increased use of social medias. At that time, like films, DVDs, and news articles, which widened the playing field for all bodybuilders. This meant that if one had a good enough physique, they could gain support and sponsorships, which thus helped to widen out and popularize the bodybuilding culture. Later on, following the tech boom in the 2000s, many different social media companies like Facebook, MySpace, and YouTube began to up their social media game. This allowed for more bodybuilders to post their videos online, which allowed for more followings and also increased the popularity of the sport. One very prominent bodybuilder that began to get popularized because of the new tech boom was Aziz Shavarishyan, or better known in the bodybuilding community as Ziz. Ziz was an Australian-Iranian bodybuilder who was widely known for posting funny and impressive videos online, showcasing his physique and his lifting routines. Aziz further gained sponsorships from brands like Gymshark, a popular British fitness clothing brand. Ziz was different from most bodybuilders because of his charismatic and jumpy attitude, as he would be regularly seen taking his shirt off in public and showing his physique. This inspired millions to join the gym, and Ziz's legacy still lives on today with millions of people that are still able to watch his videos today online. Sadly, Ziz passed away on August 5th, 2011 due to a heart attack caused by the fact that he was already taking too much DNP, an illegal weight loss supplement, and the fact that he was in the hot temperatures of the sauna for overlasting times. However, due to Ziz's ability to use social media to his advantage, his presence was spread all over the internet, being able to inspire millions and millions of humans to get in the gym and spread the bodybuilding culture.